why Conrad is being cheered in prison. In MobLand, Season 1, Episode 10, and how it connects to a 56-year-old classic, why is a cold-blooded gangster being cheered in prison? Why is the most dangerous man in MobLand being treated like a celebrity behind bars? And what does a 56-year-old British film have to do with a crime boss's final smirk? Because in the final moments of MobLand Season 1, something no one expected happens. Pierce Brosnan's character, Conrad Harrigan, who just lost everything, steps out of his cell, and the inmates begin to clap. No fists, no shouts. He walks through that prison like a king, like he's walking a red carpet, like he owns every soul in that fortress of steel. But why? Why would killers, thieves, and lifelong offenders rise for him? This isn't just a cool moment, it's a message. It's a coded reference. It's the kind of scene that gets dissected for decades, and it's hiding a legendary connection. But first, you need to understand who Conrad really is, because if you think he's just another TV mobster, you've missed the point entirely. This man is not the leader of a gang. He is a system. He is London's ghost. And when the police raided his manor and dragged him off like a trophy, they thought it was the end of the Harrigan Empire. But what they didn't realize is that Conrad never dies. Not in prison, not in exile, and definitely not in the public eye. And what happens next? It's not just a flex, it's a mirror to a classic. Because the last 2 minutes of MobLand Season 1, where Conrad is being celebrated like a myth, is a shot-for-shot homage to a scene from The Italian Job, a 1968 cult crime caper starring the one and only Michael Caine. Yeah, that's right. MobLand didn't just wrap up with a prison scene, it resurrected a ghost, a cinematic legacy, and made Conrad Harrigan the modern-day equivalent of Noël Coward's criminal mastermind. This isn't a coincidence. This was designed. Every angle, every footstep, every clap in that prison is a signal. So if you're here because you think this is just a cool gangster scene, you're about to go much deeper than you bargained for. Because what Pierce Brosnan pulled off in this scene isn't just performance, it's message-coded power projection. And if you're watching this and thinking, wait, what else have I missed? Nah, that's not a mistake. That's the point. Before we decode the secrets hidden in plain sight, pause. Hit subscribe right now. Because what's coming next is not just insight, it's the forbidden blueprint behind MobLand's most chilling moment, and you do not want to be the one who finds out last. Because what if I told you, the cheering in that prison wasn't for Conrad at all? What if it was for what he represents? Stick with me, because we're just getting started. To understand why Conrad Harrigan is being cheered in a place built to crush men like him, you have to know the truth behind the man, not the public story, not what the newspapers print, and definitely not what the police claim. No, you need to know how Conrad became untouchable, because Conrad didn't just survive the London underworld, he rewrote the rules and made the police dance to his rhythm. He ran operations that spanned countries. He turned politicians into puppets. He had detectives in his back pocket, judges who owed him favors, and rivals who mysteriously vanished. And still, he let everyone think it was Maeve pulling the strings, the perfect illusion. While she executed moves with surgical precision, he played God in the shadows. But that's what makes what happened in Episode 10 so disturbing. Conrad wasn't defeated by a rival, he was set up, betrayed from within. DNA evidence planted, conveniently discovered at the perfect time, right after a quiet dinner turned into a trap. Colin Tattersall, the smiling snake, the traitor in the suit. He didn't just frame Conrad, he weaponized justice. And the moment he handed that DNA to law enforcement, he thought the game was over. He should have known better. Because Conrad, he's not the kind of man who breaks in prison. He rules it. He bends steel bars like business deals. And the moment he stepped out of that cell in Episode 10, the walls remembered him. Those cheers, they weren't random. They weren't polite. They were earned over decades of fear, loyalty, and whispered myth. Because everyone in that prison knows exactly who he is. He's the boogeyman who built an empire, the scourge of law enforcement, the man who beat the system at its own game, for years. And they know something else, something the audience hasn't figured out yet. He's not done. You see, Conrad Harrigan has already started making moves from inside his cell. And the applause? That's not celebration, that's alignment. Every single inmate in that facility just chose a side. And it's not the side of law and order, so here's what you didn't catch. In that final shot, when Conrad says, "Bring it on," he's not talking to the guards. He's not talking to the system. He's talking to his enemies on the outside. And guess what? They're already running scared. But here's where it gets twisted. Because this whole scene, the stairs, the applause, the godlike entrance, it's not even original. It's copied. On purpose. A secret message, a callback to the one film every career criminal in Britain knows by heart. Coming up next, the 1968 crime film that secretly shaped MobLand's finale, and the chilling reason it matters right now. The final scene of MobLand Season 1 didn't just show us a gangster walking down prison stairs, it was a carefully crafted homage to a legendary British crime film, The Italian Job. Back in 1968, The Italian Job was released, a movie that defined a generation of crime stories. Michael Caine played a mastermind criminal pulling off the most audacious heist London had ever seen. But what really caught attention wasn't just the heist, it was the prison scene starring Noël Coward, playing the kingpin crime boss who ruled from inside his cell. In the film, Coward's character descends the prison's gantry steps, and the inmates erupt into applause, like a king returning to his court, like the voice of power echoing through the cell blocks. A symbol that even behind bars, true authority is never lost. Now here's the twist. Pierce Brosnan confirmed that MobLand's prison scene was directly inspired by this iconic moment. But why borrow a 56-year-old scene? Because it wasn't just homage, it was code. The prison in MobLand, Reading Gaol, is infamous for more than just crime. It's where Oscar Wilde was tortured by hard labor, where secrets linger in damp, cold walls, and where Brosnan and the crew filmed to capture a very specific atmosphere. What The Italian Job showed, and what MobLand recreated, was a metaphor. True power doesn't disappear behind bars, it shifts, it grows, and Conrad's entrance, celebrated by cheers, was a sign to every viewer paying attention. Conrad is no victim. He's the criminal mastermind who, like Noël Coward's character, will continue to pull strings inside the prison. He's about to become more dangerous than ever before, and this leads to a burning question. Will Conrad Harrigan get out of prison at all? Because the most brilliant crime bosses don't always walk free. Sometimes, their greatest moves happen when the world thinks they're locked away. This is the forbidden knowledge MobLand's creators dropped in plain sight, a secret promise that Season 2 won't just be about escape, but about power from within confinement. Stay with me, because the next chapter uncovers how Conrad's empire was built, and why his prison cheers are more than just applause. They're a warning. Conrad Harrigan's power didn't happen overnight. It was forged in blood, betrayal, and an iron will. Decades of calculated moves. Decades of enemies disappearing without a trace. What you saw in episode 10, Conrad being cheered, is the result of a lifetime spent building an empire inside shadows. The Harrigan family isn't just a name, it's a fortress, a kingdom of crime that stretches from London's gritty streets to international ports and beyond. And Conrad? He wasn't just the head of this empire, he was its heartbeat. But here's the catch. The empire almost crumbled in Season 1. The bloody Harrigan-Stevenson War tore the underworld apart. Brothers died, allies turned foes, and the police closed in. Yet, Conrad survived. Not because he was lucky, not because he was stronger, but because he understood the real game, the invisible chessboard no one else saw. He built alliances inside the system itself. Inmates, guards, politicians, corrupt officers, every piece moved to keep him alive. And when he walked down those prison stairs to cheers, it wasn't just respect, it was fear. The kind of fear that says, mess with this man and you're finished. Conrad's mantra, bring it on, was a defiant challenge to the entire world, because he knows the war isn't over, it's just changed battlegrounds. And the true power, it's that Conrad has turned prison into a new kind of headquarters, where old rules don't apply, where he can still pull strings, where the real game begins. So here's the million-dollar question. How can a man, framed for murder, locked behind bars, still command so much power? Because what we don't see on screen is his network. The loyalists on the outside, running errands, sabotaging investigations, planting evidence, and hunting down traitors. And the ones on the inside? Those cheers mean Conrad is already a king, and soon a legend, but the darkest secret is yet to come. Because even legends have weaknesses. And for Conrad, that weakness might be the person closest to him, Maeve Harrigan, the woman behind the throne. Or is she the throne's greatest weakness? All season, viewers saw Maeve pulling strings in the shadows, secrets whispered behind closed doors, deals brokered in silence. She was the quiet storm steering the Harrigan Empire. But what if Maeve's power is a mask, a carefully constructed illusion designed to protect Conrad and maybe to control him? In the Season 1 finale, Maeve's motivations were laid bare in a phone call. She confessed to manipulating events, setting traps, and even orchestrating betrayals. Yet, she ended up in prison with Conrad, framed alongside him. So what does that mean? Is Maeve a partner in crime, loyal to the bone, or the ultimate double agent, someone who set Conrad up to save herself? Here's what we know. Maeve's influence stretches far beyond what any single scene reveals. She's a master of disguise in the crime game, often unseen but never powerless, and her being in prison with Conrad could be part of a bigger plan, a plan that might tear the Harrigan Empire apart from within. Because the truth is, the greatest threat to Conrad's reign might not be outside, it might be the person he trusted most. And that means the prison applause could be as much about Maeve's loyalty, or lack thereof, as Conrad's power. Kevin Harrigan, the son who declared himself the new head of the family, young, brash, and hungry. But can he really fill Conrad's shoes, or is he destined to burn everything down? Season 1 ended with Kevin's defiant declaration through the prison glass. Bold words from a man desperate to prove himself. But the streets don't forgive youth or inexperience. They demand respect. And Kevin still has to earn that. His impatience might be his undoing. Many old allies are skeptical, the police are watching, and every rival smells blood. Kevin represents the new generation. He wants to expand the empire internationally. Bigger, faster, more ruthless. But ambition like that carries a price. Loyalty fractures. Old alliances crumble. And in MobLand, that means one thing. With Conrad locked away and Maeve's loyalty unclear, Kevin faces enemies on all fronts. Not just outside, but inside the family. And as he moves to consolidate power, some will rise up, others will fall. Because in MobLand, there's no room for weakness, only the strong survive. Colin Tattersall, the name that haunts Conrad's downfall. The man who planted the DNA evidence, framed Conrad for murder, and shattered the Harrigan Empire's fragile peace. But who is Colin really? A traitor, a mastermind, or just a pawn caught in a bigger game? Colin's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was calculated, a perfect storm of ambition, greed, and revenge. He knew exactly how to hit Conrad where it hurts, the law. By framing Conrad with planted DNA, Colin didn't just send a message. He wiped out years of power in an instant. But the question remains, who's backing Colin? Who benefits most from Conrad's fall? Is Colin acting alone? Or is there a shadowy force pulling his strings? A deeper conspiracy within London's underworld? The evidence from Season 1 points to layers of deception. All connected by a thread we're only beginning to unravel, and if Season 2 digs deeper, Colin might be the key to unlocking the true puppet masters behind MobLand's chaos. Harry, the wild card in MobLand's deadly game. His secret recording from Episode 9 is the smoking gun that could shatter the entire case against Conrad and Maeve. Captured during a tense, interrupted dinner, Alice, also known as Nicola, was caught stealing DNA samples. Her actions exposed the fabrication behind the murder charges. This recording isn't just evidence, it's the forbidden knowledge that reveals how deep the conspiracy runs, and why the Harrigans were set up, by forces more dangerous than anyone imagined. If this recording reaches the right hands, it could lead to Conrad's freedom. But with so many enemies on all sides, can it be trusted? Can Harry be trusted? The power of this recording lies in its potential to rewrite the narrative, to turn the tables on those who framed the Harrigans, and to ignite a new war. This time for control of the truth. In MobLand, truth is a weapon, and Harry's recording might just be the deadliest weapon of all.